Kennedy has done a decent job with Star Wars. You agree?
No, I don't agree.
The ultimate job of being the CEO is to build the brand, build excitement, recruit talent, and to keep them.
Yes.
What has she done a terrible job of?
The backlash to Star Wars Acolyte Episode 3 has been intense, and now the Rotten Tomatoes user score is lower than even the much maligned Star Wars The Holiday Special. That and the fact that the ratings for this debut were 3 million short of Ahsoka, you would think that Lucasfilm might take this as a warning sign that things need to change.
Disney has this really bad habit of just not letting things go.
He's kind of been involved, though, with like anything to do with Dave Filoni. Dave always brings him in as a...
There are three indispensable people without whom none of us would be here tonight, and that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas. The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And the person whose is the glue to all five of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
Backlash against the Acolyte was swift and intense. Early promotional material was met with skepticism, and leaks hinting at significant changes to Jedi history sparked outrage among fans. Social media quickly became flooded with criticism, with many accusing Lucasfilm of abandoning core Star Wars mythology to push a political agenda. As a result, audience anticipation for the series plummeted, with some analysts predicting it would struggle to gain viewership upon release. Facing mounting pressure from investors and stakeholders, Disney executives recognized the franchise was losing its connection with audiences, prompting the need for decisive action to prevent further financial and reputational damage. Upon his return, George Lucas wasted no time addressing the concerns surrounding the Acolyte. Reports suggest he was deeply disappointed with the show's direction, viewing it as a prime example of how Star Wars had strayed from its roots. Insiders claim Lucas was frustrated with the series' departure from the mythological elements he had spent years cultivating, believing that the essence of Star Wars lies in its universal themes of hope, redemption, and adventure, values that the Acolyte appeared to overlook in favor of more subversive storytelling. Lucas's decision to part ways with Leslie Headland was more than just a response to a single series. It was a bold statement that Star Wars needed to reconnect with its foundational elements. Many fans saw this move as a beacon of hope, believing that Lucas's renewed involvement could help restore the magic that had once defined the beloved franchise. Rumors have surfaced that George Lucas is already revising existing Star Wars projects to better align with his original vision. Some reports even suggest he is considering major reshoots for the Acolyte to bring it back in line with the traditional themes and storytelling style fans have come to expect. Although Lucas has not publicly commented on the firing of Leslie Headland, insiders indicate he is fully committed to undoing the damage done to the franchise in recent years. His focus is on telling stories that honor the legacy of Star Wars while introducing fresh ideas that remain true to its core values. The backlash against the Acolyte was severe, with many criticizing the series for deviating too far from established Star Wars lore. The introduction of new Force users and a reimagining of the Force itself sparked controversy, as fans argued these changes undermined Anakin Skywalker's unique origin and the prophecy of the Chosen One, key elements of the prequel trilogy. The series faced a poor audience reception, with its dismal Rotten Tomatoes score starkly contrasting with more favorable critic reviews. While some viewers found elements of the show intriguing, many felt it fundamentally broke canon and disregarded the philosophical depth Lucas had built into the saga. Social media was flooded with heated debates as fans criticized the portrayal of the Jedi as morally ambiguous figures and the introduction of an all-female coven of witches experimenting with the Force to create life. This storyline was seen by some as undermining the mystery and grandeur of the Force that Lucas had carefully crafted. Key moments, such as the immaculate conception of twin protagonists by the witches, were compared to Anakin Skywalker's origin, leading to accusations that the Acolyte recycled and diluted central elements of the saga. Despite the backlash, a few viewers remained hopeful the series might improve, though many longtime fans were skeptical about its place in Star Wars canon. With George Lucas now back at the helm, the focus has shifted to restoring the franchise to its original vision. Lucas has always seen Star Wars as a timeless mythological saga rooted in universal themes of heroism, destiny, and the struggle between good and evil. His revitalization plan centers on returning to these foundational elements, which many feel have been diluted in recent years. One of Lucas's primary goals is to reintroduce the storytelling style that made the original and prequel trilogies so impactful. This includes an emphasis on epic scope, deep character development, and intricate world building, elements that have been notably absent in recent installments. Lucas is expected to take a more hands-on approach to ensure future projects remain true to the core themes of hope, redemption, and adventure that have defined Star Wars for decades.
Become the incarnate form of insanity, continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. They continue to put out woke crap, they continue to put out terrible stories, pathetic characters, and yet they continue to expect us to eat it up, to completely just consume it without a single question.
Later on, when they were making more movies, they said, there's no women in the movies. I said, who do you think the heroes are in those films? What do you think Princess Leia was? She is the head of the rebellion. She's the one that's taking the young kid that doesn't know anything on this boyfriend, I know everything guy who can't do anything, and trying to save the rebellion with these clowns. I said, she's the hero of the movie. And it's the same thing with Queen Amidala. Even though she has Jedi on her side, she was still the hero prime mover. And they said, well, but there's no women, you know. I said, you can't just put a woman in pants and expect her to be a hero. You know, they can wear dresses, they can wear whatever they want. It's their brains and their ability to think and plan.
I had made a decision to move ahead on the next Star Wars series, and we were starting to do that.
So you were starting to make the next Star Wars?
Yeah.
You as director, filmmaker.
So and we were working with a writer. It wasn't quite working out, but I was also, I was also stepping away a little bit and turning things over to Kathy Kennedy. And so what happened was Disney said, or Bob Iger said, if you really want to sell your company, if you're thinking about selling it, because we were talking about retirement and what are you going to do after all this kind of stuff. And he said, well, if you really want to sell it, we're very interested. So that started that ball rolling. And I knew from, and I had the story treatments or, outlines, and we were working on scripts. And so I sold it. But I knew when I sold it, I said, I've tried to make movies where I step away, just sort of Empire and Return of the Jedi. Right. And after about a couple of weeks, I knew I couldn't do that. I had to stand over the shoulder of the director, help him, whisper in his ear constantly, no, do this, do that.
There is growing buzz that George Lucas is planning to reconnect with the key creative minds who helped shape the original Star Wars trilogy. From screenwriters and designers to beloved cast members, Lucas seeks to bring these collaborators back into the fold to restore the magic that made the franchise a cultural phenomenon. His goal is to rebuild trust with fans and reignite the spark that once made Star Wars a global sensation. Lucas's renewed focus is on crafting character-driven narratives that delve deeper into the galaxy's rich history and mythology without feeling forced or out of place. Fans are eager for a return to stories that naturally intertwine with the saga's timeless themes, rather than standalone projects that feel disconnected from the larger universe. The contrast between Lucas's original vision and Disney's approach is stark. Under Lucas, the franchise thrived with a bold, singular creative direction that pushed the boundaries of storytelling and technology. His films not only introduced groundbreaking visual effects, but also created a rich universe filled with deep lore and unforgettable characters that resonated across generations. However, after Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012, the franchise shifted toward a more corporate-driven approach, prioritizing rapid content production to maximize profits. While The Force Awakens was a commercial success, it became apparent that Disney's sequels leaned heavily on nostalgia and spectacle rather than meaningful expansion of the lore and mythology. Lucas's frustration with Disney's handling of his ideas has been well documented. Even Disney CEO Bob Iger admitted that Lucas felt betrayed when the studio discarded his original outlines for the sequel trilogy. Under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership, Star Wars took several missteps, including a reliance on rehashing old ideas, a lack of cohesive storytelling, and an overt focus on modern political themes that often felt out of sync with the Star Wars universe. The result was a fragmented fan base, waning enthusiasm, and declining financial returns. With Lucas now back in control, there is renewed hope that the franchise can return to its roots and recapture the heart and soul of what made Star Wars a global cultural force. Fans are optimistic that under Lucas's leadership, the franchise can once again thrive by delivering storytelling that remains true to its core values. They look forward to timeless adventures filled with depth, myth, and character-driven journeys, hallmarks of the saga that have captivated audiences for decades.
Bad. Even the special effects have gotten worse over time somehow. Star Wars has been bad for longer than I've been alive. And now it's hopelessly woke on top of it. The whole franchise is owned by feminists and left-wing activists, people who hate the audience and hate the material that they've been entrusted with. There is no conceivable incentive for anyone to watch any Star Wars content again. Like, I'm not even asking you to boycott Star. I'm not saying boycott. I'm just saying, why? Just don't. There's nothing enjoyable about this. Stop doing it. Every new Star Wars show should have an audience of 0. Every new Star Wars film should make $0 at the box office. Have some self.
George Lucas's return to Lucasfilm marks a significant shift in the direction of Star Wars, with a renewed emphasis on creative integrity over corporate interests. Lucas understands that Star Wars is more than just a franchise. It's a cultural cornerstone that demands respect and careful stewardship. With him back at the helm, fans are eagerly awaiting what's next for the galaxy far, far away. Reports suggest that Lucas is taking a hands-on approach, reviewing both current and upcoming projects to ensure they align with his original vision. This includes reassessing controversial projects like The Acolyte, with rumors hinting at possible reshoots or revisions to bring the series back in line with the saga's core themes. Speculation is also building around a potential new trilogy under Lucas's leadership, which could signify a fresh start for the Star Wars universe. Early rumors suggest that Pedro Pascal might play a central role, with Lucas teasing fans by referencing The Mandalorian's iconic phrase, "This is the way." The trilogy is expected to expand the universe in ways that honor its rich history while avoiding the divisive elements of the sequel trilogy. Lucas is also anticipated to overhaul Disney Plus series, ensuring that each new project contributes meaningfully to the larger narrative rather than existing as filler content. There is speculation about a possible restructuring within Lucasfilm, with a renewed emphasis on deep storytelling and world building, shifting away from short-term, profit-driven content. One of Lucas's greatest challenges will be winning back the trust of fans who have felt disconnected from the franchise due to recent creative missteps. While some remain skeptical, his return has sparked a renewed sense of optimism. Whether he can fully restore the franchise to its former glory remains to be seen, but his involvement has already given many fans hope. As Lucas steps back into the spotlight, fans are hopeful that Star Wars will return to its roots, delivering timeless stories filled with adventure, myth, and heart. May the Force be with us all as we witness the next chapter in this beloved saga.
Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path than what I intended. But the first 6 are very much mine and my philosophy.
There's a Star Wars live action series coming, and I've got a strong suspicion that George will have something to do with that.
Building I work in from George, so he has all the keys anyway. I can't. He can come right in. I'll tell you, whatever he would come up with would be different. He was always the most surprising in what he would do.
Speculation is mounting that George Lucas may be returning to the Star Wars universe, and if the rumors are true, significant changes could already be in motion. Early reports indicate that one of his first moves might involve parting ways with the Acolyte director, a development that has sparked excitement and intrigue among fans and industry insiders alike. Longtime Star Wars fans have voiced concerns that the franchise has strayed from the storytelling elements that defined Lucas's original vision. The ongoing debate over the series' creative direction has ignited heated discussions, with many feeling the magic has diminished under Disney's leadership. If Lucas is indeed making a comeback, it could signal a return to the foundational elements that made the saga iconic: epic narratives, compelling characters, and a mythological core rooted in universal themes of hope and redemption. Speculation suggests that creative differences may have arisen over the direction of the Acolyte, raising questions about how this potential shakeup might shape the future of the Star Wars galaxy. Fans are hopeful that Lucas's involvement will steer the franchise back to its roots, reigniting the sense of wonder and adventure that has captivated generations.
The films will have a longer life, so that more fans and people can enjoy them into the future. It's a very big universe I've created, and there's a lot of stories that are sitting in there.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them. There you go.
Some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people. You run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's how do democracies turn back into dictatorships?
In a move that has sent shockwaves through Hollywood and thrilled Star Wars fans worldwide, George Lucas is officially taking back the reins at Lucasfilm, replacing longtime President Kathleen Kennedy. This bold leadership change signals Disney's commitment to revitalizing the franchise after years of controversial decisions and declining fan enthusiasm. Kennedy's tenure at Lucasfilm has been marked by both successes and challenges. While she oversaw hits like The Force Awakens and The Mandalorian, criticism over the sequel trilogy and recent Disney Plus shows, particularly The Acolyte, highlighted a franchise in crisis. Fans have increasingly accused the studio of prioritizing political messaging over strong storytelling, a sentiment reflected in declining box office and streaming figures. Under pressure from investors and stakeholders, Disney turned to George Lucas, trusting his deep understanding of the Star Wars universe and visionary reputation to restore the franchise's former glory. Industry insiders suggest that creative disagreements and declining merchandise sales were key factors in Kennedy's departure. The fan reaction to Lucas's return has been overwhelmingly positive. Many longtime Star Wars fans, who have openly criticized the franchise's recent direction, view his return as a much-needed turning point. Social media has exploded with excitement, fueling a renewed sense of optimism that the series will finally return to its roots. Industry experts believe Lucas's involvement could bring stability and innovation. However, some critics worry that his more traditional approach might clash with modern Hollywood trends, raising questions about balancing fan nostalgia with fresh ideas. Looking ahead, Lucas's return is expected to bring significant changes to current and future projects at Lucasfilm. Sources indicate that he'll take a hands-on role in overseeing creative decisions to ensure the franchise remains true to his original vision. This could mean a return to classic Star Wars storytelling, emphasizing adventure, mythology, and character-driven narratives. There is also speculation that ongoing or upcoming projects, particularly divisive ones, may be reevaluated or even scrapped. Rumors are circulating about a new trilogy that could steer the franchise in an exciting yet familiar direction under Lucas's guidance. The big question now is whether Lucas can restore Star Wars to its former glory and regain the trust of longtime fans. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether his return sparks the revival the franchise needs, or if the damage caused by past leadership is too great to overcome. Fans everywhere are hopeful that Lucas's creative genius will once again make the galaxy far, far away shine.
Now, and it happens in streaming probably more than features, but features the same thing. Nobody knows what to do. The stories they're telling are just old movies. Let's do a sequel. Let's do another version of this movie. There's no, and it's not just in movies, but in almost everything. There's no original thinking. These big studios, I mean, they don't want that. They want something that is like something they've seen. Because they don't have an imagination to come up with, to see something that isn't there. I mean, I got Star Wars done mainly because at the same time I was writing the script, I hired an artist to draw pictures of what I was doing because I knew I couldn't describe what it was. It was impossible. But when you see the pictures, you say, oh, I get it. And that was really what made the movie, what sold it.
I was interested in doing a film that could affect kids. And I'd studied mythology and everything, and I decided I'm going to make a modern myth. I disliked the business of Hollywood intensely. When I had that choice of Star Wars being a success, I said, I'm going to try to make a go for it. And so I invested in the next movie and borrowed money from a bank and everything. I had everything at stake. I did it primarily because I didn't want the studios to tell me what to do. I didn't want them coming and commenting on my work and putting their little ideas in there. And because I needed to make sure I controlled the vision and not have it be diluted by a lot of other people.
The last that we had heard about Kathleen Kennedy being removed as the president of Lucasfilm was that she's going to be having some contract negotiations, and she wasn't going to be seeking to actually renew or get an extension on that contract, which in itself should be a joyous occasion for everyone. But now, according to the scooper WDW Pro, we have some more information of a potential timeline that her announcement of her retirement and stepping down could come as soon as...
One of George Lucas's first major decisions upon returning to Lucasfilm was to part ways with Leslie Headland, the director and showrunner of The Acolyte. This move was widely seen as essential to restoring the Star Wars brand, which many fans felt had lost its way under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. Kennedy's tenure at Lucasfilm was marked by a series of controversial decisions, often prioritizing political and social messaging over the adventurous and mythic storytelling that defined Lucas's original films. While her leadership emphasized diversity and representation, critics argued that this focus sometimes came at the expense of compelling narratives and well-rounded character development. The result was declining box office numbers, underwhelming streaming performance, and growing audience dissatisfaction. Though Lucas had largely remained quiet in recent years, it became evident behind the scenes that he was increasingly dissatisfied with the direction of the franchise. One of the most contentious projects was The Acolyte, which was initially marketed as a groundbreaking series with a predominantly female cast. However, it quickly became a lightning rod for criticism. In several interviews, Headland expressed her desire to move beyond Lucas's original vision, arguing that Star Wars needed to evolve to stay relevant. She aimed to challenge well-established aspects of the franchise's lore, particularly regarding the Jedi and the Force. Many fans viewed this approach as an attempt to rewrite history rather than build upon it meaningfully. Headland's comments, which dismissed fan concerns as toxic male resistance, further alienated a portion of the fan base. Many felt their passion for the franchise was being disregarded in favor of a direction that seemed disconnected from its roots. Lucas's return and his decision to part ways with Headland signaled his commitment to correcting the trajectory of the Star Wars franchise. His goal is to restore the core elements that made the saga a cultural phenomenon, timeless themes of heroism, redemption, and the eternal struggle between light and dark. Fans are now hopeful that Lucas's renewed involvement will bring the series back to its storytelling roots and reignite the magic that captivated generations.
And